So I'm going to pop this full screen and run through a bit of slides, a bit of terminology, just so we're all on the same page. And then I'm going to get a demo. So by the end of it, we'll be able to, you'll basically have your own domain. So that'll be, yourbusinessname.com or maybe just yourname.com. If it's available, you'll have a WordPress site, you'll have hosting and everything else. I was originally thinking of having it as, workshop style. So we'd all kind of go together, you'd follow along, you'd do it on your own hosting, but I just kind of realized it'd be really hard to verify that everyone's on the same page. And especially for the recording, I didn't want everyone to have to wait long pauses while, we fix specific issues. So again, there'll be a recording at the end. So you'll be able to, shortly after this is done, go back, pause and start and skip around to where you need to, follow along, and away you go. Sound good? So for those who don't know me, I'm Brian Hogg. I did a course, or this one course, JavaScript and WordPress. I'm the lead organizer for WordCamp Hamilton, which is a WordPress conference based in Hamilton. Plugins, I've got a couple plugins, some of them premium, which are there. And a lot of you probably heard it from Hamilton freelancers, but I think we have some other people who found it by other means. So glad you can make it. So some quick terminology. So domain name is the first thing that we'll be going through and connecting everything together. So a domain name is basically like yourbusinessname.com. It could be .org, .ca if you're in Canada, .net. There's a whole bunch, way more than when, 10 years ago, .info, .site, tons, .website even, I think. So all those, that is basically you buy that separately from your website, and that gives you the right to use, yourbusinessname.com however you want. You can have emails, you can have your name at yourbusinessname.com, your website, and whatever else you want to kind of connect to that domain name. But you can buy the domain separate and not even set up a site and just reserve it until you're ready to have a website. But by the end of this, you'll have one. So WordPress, if you haven't heard of WordPress, WordPress is basically the code and the content management system for your website. So it's makes it so you don't have to, manually add pages, or it gives you a way to upload images easily and everything else. And we'll be demoing that, but it's basically the management system for your website. So you can do a lot of the stuff yourself without writing any code. And finally, hosting, and this is basically, it's a computer so that host your code so that clients and anyone else on the internet can see your WordPress site. So if we look at kind of a relationship between the domain, the hosting, and WordPress, you've got your domain name, and then that then points to your hosting account. So and then within that, you have WordPress. So the hosting account can, potentially host other things other than WordPress. One I'm going to go through is only for WordPress, but there are other ones that give you other systems. But it's basically within your hosting account, and your domain name points to it. And then again, because you have the rights to your domain name, you can also point it to things like email. So you can have you at yourbusinessname.com instead of using Gmail or Hotmail, if that's even still a thing, or whatever else. So does that make sense? Any questions on any of those pieces? You guys are good. Maybe a quick thumbs up. Awesome. Good stuff. All right, so flip back. So the first thing we need to do is register your domain name. So there's a whole bunch of places that you can go to, but I tend to recommend Namecheap. So it's got a pretty decent user interface, just easy way to search and add to cart and add it to your, and actually be able to buy the rights to use yourbusinessname.com. So you basically search for the domain name you'd like. It might not be available if someone else has bought it before, or it's used for an existing website. But you search for it, see if it's available. If it is, you add it to your cart. And then during the checkout, you really want to make sure to auto renew, even though Namecheap would, send you alerts when it's about to expire, and it's a year to year, or you can buy it for, I think, up to 10 years at a time. You really want to make sure that auto renew is enabled, because the last thing, for the sake of $10, which it's on average $10 a year, is to have it expire, and then you lose your website. So you don't want to do that. So let's flip over and do a quick demo, or show you how it looks and how it works. So here we are. We've got the homepage for Namecheap.com. And so say you want to do something like yourfreelancesite.com. Search for this. And it'll search. It'll see if it's available. Searching. Oh, it's not available. Why? Because I bought it yesterday. So it was available, but now it's not. It does give you alternatives if it's not available, different extension, .site, .store, .net, everything else. But if you don't want to use that, you can just go back, or actually even on that page, you could search for another one and just search for some other. So let's see. I'll just search for one just to make sure it is available, so you can actually see how that works. Searching. There you go. So this one's available, and I'm in Canada right now, so it defaults to Canadian, but you can use the little menu here to change it to US or Euro or whatever else you need. So if it is available, you just click the little add cart. There you go. And you can pick other ones. If you're in Canada, it tends to be good to have at least .com and .ca, depending on your country. If you're in England, .co.uk is a good thing to have. So you can add other ones, but typically you don't want to go nuts. You don't want to have all different types. Usually .com is plenty. So if you go to View Cart, there you go. So it'll show there. So by default, it's 1 year. You can renew it up to 10, it looks like. Obviously, you pay more up front, but I think you get a slight boost with Google. But you can just start with 1 year and then add more time to it after. Again, make sure you check auto renew. It gives you a free subscription to this Whois card, which is basically just a thing that protects or hides your personal information, a lot of which will probably be public knowledge anyway if you have a registered business, but they give it to you for free, so why not? You can leave it on there. And they give you, and the nice thing about Namecheap is they give you the option to add Gmail for work to your domain, which is about $5 a month. But if you click on the add to cart, that gives you your Gmail address. So, your name at yourdomain.com. It gives you online file storage like Google Docs. It gives you, it links up to your calendar. So people send you invites via, your email address on your custom domain. It just all links together. It's about $5 a month. And the nice thing is you can just add it to your cart and it configures it automatically. So that's definitely something I would recommend doing. So then you would just hit confirm order. And you either log in, create an account, and go through the whole checkout process and do that. So that's how that whole thing works. And let me just make sure that I'm signed into my account, which I'm not right now, just so I can bring up the domain name that I did. So it might give you a little security notice. Just to confirm you're not a robot. Oh, you need to pick all the squares of the street signs. This is a big test. I think I got this wrong last time. Oh, got it wrong again. There's palm trees. I could use some palm trees. It's going to be winter here in Canada soon, so that's going to be fun. There we go. So domain list. And I believe this is the account where I added. Yep, there you go. So there's yourfreelance.com, which I managed yesterday. So once you've bought it, you'll get access to your account, or you'll have an account that you can log in and manage it. and we'll go through how we actually configure it at the end. So let me flip back to the, oh, there's a picture of my cute cat with his tongue sticking out a little bit. So go back to the slides. So the next thing is then setting up the hosting, which again is going to hold the code and your actual WordPress site on it. So there's a ton of hosting out there. There's a lot of different options you can pick from, varying in price, obviously, but the one I'm going to go through and recommend is WP Engine, and I will tell you why. So for starters, it gives you a WordPress installed and configured site with no other steps. You don't have to go through some cPanel. You don't have to click on whatever to actually get your WordPress site up and running, which is nice. Especially for a business site. Again, if this is your cat blog or something and you don't need it to be fast or secure or have that kind of 24-hour support, if there is an issue or your site goes down, then you don't need hosting like this. But if it's for a business site, you have a potential client going there, and if it's slow and someone isn't able to access the site, you lose that lead, you lose a client, which could have who knows how much over the course of your relationship with that client. So it's well worth it to have good quality hosting. You've got a faster site, so a faster site equals higher rankings, less user frustration. No one wants to wait 10 seconds for a site to load. That's so long. I'll give you an idea. Let's time 5 seconds. Yeah, that's a long time to wait. And a lot of sites that I've worked on for clients where they've been on cheaper hosting, it could take 10 or more seconds to load, whereas just switching to something like WP Engine, it's 1 to 2, which is really in the range that you need to be. All they do is WordPress. So it's WP Engine, WordPress Engine. All they do is WordPress and nothing else. They got a nice intuitive interface for, say, restoring a backup. So if you make a mistake or, maybe your site gets hacked or whatever, hopefully it never does, but, it just makes it really easy. Whereas a lot of hosting that I've looked at, restoring a site is just near impossible. It's like 10 steps. So just to give you an idea, so you go to backup points when you're logged in, you click on the one that you want to restore. There's one per day, and then you click on the restore button, and that's it. You get your site restored. It'll email you when it's done. You can also click things like the download zip or backup now, which will download a backup to your local machine. So again, just super straightforward to do. And oftentimes a lot of other ones will charge extra for backups, which just comes included. So you've got automatic core WordPress updates. So anytime there's a new version of WordPress, it'll schedule and notify you when it's going to be updated. It'll update it automatically. And then if there are any issues, it'll roll it back automatically. So your site's not down, and then let you know. Otherwise, your site's updated and you're good to go. Yeah, so again, it'll roll back automatically if there's an error, and it usually also alerts you if there's a security issue with a plugin or a theme, which is good. Not all the time, it's not 100%, but usually if there's a major issue, it'll let you know, and then you can either update it yourself or it will notify you, just do it for you, especially if it's a major one. It is easy to configure SSL certificate, which is the HTTPS. Google announced not too long ago that it's really going to start clamping down on sites that don't have a secure certificate, even if you don't sell anything. So yeah, a couple clicks and you can get a free one set up with this. And again, you get what you pay for. If it's a fraction of the price, it's going to be a fraction of the performance. And for a business site, it is important. So WP Engine gives you also 2 free months if you pay annually. So that helps drop it down. So in the email that you got, there was a link to set up the hosting, and it actually goes here. And for those who are wondering why it's brianhogg.com, yes, it's an affiliate link, which means I do get a bit if someone uses it. It doesn't cost you anything to use the link. The money goes toward running webinars like this one, which aren't free. Meetup.com group fees, more cupcakes at our anniversary meetups if you're in the Hamilton area, maybe other desserts and the like. But again, if you don't like me, if you don't want to go through an affiliate link, I would much rather you Google, search for WP Engine, sign up for it directly anyway, and do it that way. I'd still recommend them 100% either way, but I'd obviously appreciate if you could use the link. So when you do sign up, you would get an email like this. You would then click on the accept invitation link, and that would take you to a page where you can set your password for the account. And once you've done that and you log in using your email address and that password, you will see something like this. And actually, let me just quickly walk you through signing up for it. So if you click on the actual link, and the link is in the email you should have got as well when you signed up for the webinar. So if you go there, so if you click on the thing, you'll see see plans. So if you click on see plans, you just scroll down to the personal plan, go host my website. You would, so I just picked the personal plan, which is definitely what you should start with and what will work for most people. You just pick monthly. I give a coupon code in the email, so definitely use that. I don't know how long that's going to be working, but you just enter that here, hit apply. If you don't have it, just let me know, brian@brianhogg.com. You then hit the monthly there. You put in your account name, which is basically just a unique name. So it could just be your name if it's available, or the name of your business. And it's no spaces. It's just kind of like a username. So you could do like your freelance or something. See if that's available. Yeah, that's available. Data center, you could just leave it as default if you're based in the States. If you're, say, in Europe, you would pick, say, United Kingdom or Belgium. And, even though it's optimized to be fast for anyone, obviously the closer, you are to where it's hosted, the faster it'll be. It still takes time to traverse the globe. So pick the one that's closest to you. And then just enter your first name, email, credit card stuff, billing, and just check the I have read. Create my site. So once you do that and you've clicked on the other link and set your password, you will see a site like this. So you initially get your dashboard, you've got your installs, and this will be the username that you put in. And yeah, really, you don't need to be in this area too much. We'll go through setting up your WordPress site, but this is where you go if you have any issues with the host saying your website is down or something. You would just click live chat, and it'll pop up a live chat. You would click on the install to go to things like your backups and your domain names right here, which I will walk you through how to link everything together shortly. And that's pretty much it. But once it's configured, and if your website doesn't have any issues, usually you wouldn't need to come in here. All right. So let's flip back to the sites here. So again, it automatically configures your WordPress site for you. So you'll also get another email like this automatically. It takes a few minutes, usually up to max half an hour, but usually a couple minutes to set up. And you'll get this email, which has a link because you didn't set a password when you created the account. You just click on that link to reset your WordPress password. So once you click on that, you'll get a page like this, which you would just put in your username or your email address. So freelancer site is mine, so I put that in. Otherwise, put your email. You just click get new password, and then it'll send you a link. You click on that link, you set your password, and then you're good to go. And once you log in, you will see this. So this is your actual WordPress dashboard, which is awesome. So from here, let me just flip to my notes. So I'll make sure, oh, cute cat again, keep going the wrong way. Yeah, so I'll now give you a demo of actually setting up your site. So the first thing that you would want to do is set some basic settings. So there's a lot of options on here, which I think they counted 70-something different things you can click on. But really, all you need to do is go into settings and then general. And this will be the kind of the first area you would go to set up. So by default, it's going to be your name, blog, your superpowered WP Engine blog, right? So you definitely want to change it to your business name. So Brian Hogg Consulting, you can see it's updating in the top there. And tagline, you can have one, you don't need one, so you can just delete it. Some themes don't even show it, but I'll just delete that for now. Make sure your email address is right. It'll automatically set it to the same email address you had before. And you can set your date format. If you're in Europe, you can change that, and your time zone as well. So I am -5, but Antarctica. Let's see, Africa. So there's a lot of different options there, but you want to pick the one that is closest to you. We'll just say we're in Copenhagen right now. That's a nice place. And then you hit save, and there you go. So you can update these at any time, but that's your site title. And I'll also show you another spot where you can update it along with other settings. Another thing you want to update is discussion. So by default, I'm not going to show you how to set up a blog right away, because a lot of times blogs, take a while to update, and you have to write a lot of content and everything else. So I'm just going to show you a homepage and a contact form. But this allows you to link. I would definitely recommend shutting this off. A lot of people don't have comments enabled on their blog. A lot of times comments come in the form of, if someone replies to you on Twitter, if you tweet out a link to a blog post or your homepage. Trackbacks and pingbacks, again, usually just spam. So it's definitely a good idea to shut those off and have them disabled. So I'll do that and save changes. And the last thing you'd want to do is your permalinks. So by default, it's going to show it like this. So if you create a new page, instead of it being something, that looks nice, like /content, yoursite.com/content, it's going to be something like, ?P = 123, which is not what you want. So you just need to go to settings, permalinks, and change the post name. You can pick a different format if you want, but post name I think is a good one to basically just use the name of your post or page. So if you hit save changes, do that. And last but not least, by default, it creates a blog post. So I would just go in and you click on posts and just trash this post. It's just a demo blog post that obviously isn't a real post. So you can do that. Any questions on that? Excellent. Loving all the emoticons. That's awesome. Good. Okay, so I will continue. So the next thing would be installing a theme. So you can see what your site looks like now by going to you can just click on this link in the top corner or this visit site link, and it'll take you to your website.com. So because I deleted that blog post, and by default, it has a blog as your homepage, because really that's how WordPress started, and that's just the default. So it'll just say nothing found. But this is the current default theme with WordPress. It's okay, but really you're probably going to want to install a theme. So I'm going to walk you through that. So themes are installed under Appearance. So if you go to Appearance and then Themes and click on that, you will see the themes that you currently have on your site. So I've got, so it comes with the last 3 default themes, which are just one per year with WordPress. But otherwise, if you want to add a new one, all you need to do is click Add New. And now you can browse and you can search for themes. You could spend hours here. I don't even know how many there are, but there are thousands of themes. And these are ones that because you never, ever want to just Google free WordPress theme. You're just asking to get hacked. So do not do that. These ones have been vetted to a certain extent. They allow you to update, keep the theme up to date. So if there are any updates to the theme, it'll alert you and you can just update it with a couple clicks. So these are definitely the ones you would want to use. So, and different themes will have different options. And a lot of times you just have to try it and install it and, play around with it and see if it's the one that you would want to use. The one I'm going to recommend, just because I've used it for a couple clients recently, and I heard about it from someone I know, is this Spacious theme. So all you need to do once you find or want to try a theme is just hover over, click, and then activate that theme. So, or even click on this details and preview, but that activates it. And actually, I should have mentioned, so before you add a new theme, so I just go to add new again, and say this one I want to do, you can get a sense for whether it's a popular theme, how long it's been around, whatever, by looking at things like this, the star rating, like how many reviews has it had, what version is it, if it's version 0.1 alpha or, some pre-release version, it's definitely not, but usually it's at least 1.0. And, but the odd thing is recently WordPress removed the ability to see when it was last updated. I don't know why. But so to do that, you actually have to go, and you don't have to do this, but I recommend you do. You can just go to wordpress.org/themes. And from here, it looks pretty similar to, the search thing we were using before. But here you can actually see a little more info on it. So you can actually see how many people are using it right now, which again is not, it doesn't need thousands of people, but the more people it has, the more likely it'll probably be updated when it was last updated. So this one hasn't been updated since February of last year. We're in 2016 now. So, I mean, it's been a while. It has some downloads, which is great. And more recently, because I guess it got featured, which is odd that it would be featured when it hasn't been updated in so long, but that's how it is. So by going to wordpress.org/themes and searching for the theme you're thinking about using here, you get that extra information. So definitely a good thing to do before you actually add the theme to your site. So, so we've added that theme. If we go back to themes here, you can see it's here. And once you've decided on a theme, you really want to delete the ones that you're not using, because code in a theme can still be run even if it's not active. And a lot of sites have gotten hacked and stuff by doing that. So really all you need to do is once you decide on a theme and you're happy with it, just go to the other themes that you've installed, click on it, and then click delete and hit OK. And that will just remove it. So do that for all the other themes that you're not using. And then that way you just have your one theme. So just quickly do that. There you go. So you got your one theme, and that's it. So now you just have to keep this one theme up to date. Any questions on that? So, so Tina asked, what are child and parent themes? So some themes, so basically if you had, you install something like Spacious, and either you or a developer, if you're not familiar with creating a child theme, can create a child theme to customize that parent theme without hacking or changing the code of your parent theme. Because if you do change, if you just change the code or anything in the files of your parent theme, then if there's an update to that theme, it'll just overwrite all the changes you made. So yeah, so that's what child and parent themes are. Good, and thanks, Chad, for answering a couple questions. And yeah, you can switch themes whenever you want. Good. All right. So if everyone's good, we'll keep on going. So now we want to create the content for our homepage. Since we're not going to do a blog right away, we're just going to create, a static homepage that you can edit whenever you want, but just that says a little bit about your business. So if you just go to Pages, you can just click on the pages there or click All Pages. It comes with a sample page again. We can get rid of that. So if I just hit Trash, It's gone. And now we would just either click Add New here or Pages Add New. So if I click Add New, so this would be your home page. So you can just call it Home, but this will be the headline for your site. So I wrote a bit of content really quickly, just kind of marketing copy. I'm not a copywriter or anything, but I think a title to almost entice people to read more about what you're doing. So this is an example for a writer. So I'm thinking, okay, imagine your story, and this is the story that a freelance writer would write. Resonates with thousands of potential customers, and then we can have the text for the rest of your homepage in this main box here. And again, I wrote a little bit. So I'm copying it from Google Docs, and whether it's Google Docs or Microsoft Word or anything else, if you write the content separately, or if you have someone write the content, you don't just want to paste it in without doing anything. So if you click on this little toolbar toggle, I mean, you can, but it might mess up the formatting and not look correct. So if you just click on this little toolbar toggle and then paste that in, and then click on this paste as text. So if you just click on that, you can see this really weird looking huge message, but it's saying, if you're looking to paste, rich content from Microsoft Word, you can do this. Yeah, so actually it does clean up text from Word, but a lot of the times it just won't come out correctly. So if you're having issues when you paste it in, when you go to look at your page, just click on that before you paste it in. So there you go. So I've got some content. So this basically kind of to entice someone to read more. It's got a couple extra spaces, so I'm just getting rid of those. That's right. And I already clicked this button here to toggle the toolbar. But you can see this here is, a header, essentially. So by clicking on that toolbar toggle, you get these other options, and you can click on, say, heading 2. Heading 1 is usually reserved for just the main heading, which would actually be this title. And so from there, you do use heading 2, and then something underneath that might be heading 3. So you can say, just like, but can you afford to hire? Can you afford not to? So again, I did this in a few minutes, but you'll be able to write copy to reflect your business. So you can pick all things that are titles, format it that way. You've got some bold, you can do italic, strike through if you wanted to, quotes as well, which is good. If you have a testimonial, you just highlight the testimonial, click on the block quote, and the theme will format it in a nice way. And something like who am I? So that might be a heading 3 because it's a bit smaller underneath. And you can also add things like images if you want. So it's done by using this Add Media button. And I've already uploaded one photo. If you don't have one already, you can click on Upload Files. You either drag and drop in this area if you've got the photo opened on your desktop or something, or you can just click Select Files and browse around and find it and upload it. So when you have it uploaded, you would just pick the image and scroll down. It gives you some options on how to display it. By default, it's just alignment none, but if you have it left, then the text will wrap around it, which you'll see in a sec. You can also do a right if you want. You can have a link on the image if you need to, like to say a custom URL if that image needs it. And the actual size of the image you can pick here. So it gives you some default options, thumbnails, that's just a small image, medium, and the full size if you want it. So I'm just going to put it in as a thumbnail, insert. And because it's left aligned, this text will wrap around with it, or around that image. So it's not just kind of hanging on its own. So now if I save this, or basically publish that page. So I've got the page, and I can view it by clicking on this link. And you can see how it looks. It's got some extra stuff here, which we'll get rid of in a sec. But it's it's not the actual homepage of my site yet. So how we do that is by using what's called the customizer. So you can either click on customize up here, Or if you're back in the dashboard, it's in the same area as where you install the theme, but instead of clicking themes, you just click on customize. So if I click on that, it gives me a lot of nice options. And this is a benefit of using a theme, by searching for a theme that's been vetted by, the people behind this directory of approved themes, is it gives you this common kind of customizer interface, which allows you to do a lot of stuff just all in one spot. So you can do things like site identity. That's that site title that we did before. You can have a site icon and you can upload that. You can set some of the colors. So you can have your header text and background color, stuff like that. But what we're going to do is, because right now we don't have a blog, so we don't have a post or anything. So to actually set that as the front page, we can click on static front page here. So by default, your latest blog posts, but if I click a static page, now I can pick my homepage content. And it gives you a nice immediate preview of how that looks. And then if you later on, this is the same spot where you'd pick set up a blog, but we're not going to do that just yet. So if we hit save and publish, and then we can actually go to the actual site. Again, by clicking the top left, visit site. And here you are. So one thing is that if it is the title of your actual homepage, it won't show that kind of nice title that we had. So all we need to do to edit a page, which if you just want to edit any content on it, just click Edit Page, and then from here we can copy and paste this title and just kind of repeat it again. Because it's a homepage, this particular theme doesn't show that as the title and the heading. So I'm just going to replicate that. And we can actually type, because it's the home page, this is also used as the title here. So I can actually just hit home, or maybe even just the name of my business. Do that and update. And now if we go back and see, there you go. So now we've got the actual heading there, our title, and our page content. And one thing you can see here as well is a contact me link, which we will shortly create a contact page, and I'll show you how all that works. So are there any questions on that? All right. Oh yeah, suppress the display of the meta options. Yep. So I will actually show with this theme how we hide all these things, and they're in the widgets area. So I'm gonna show you how to get rid of those. And also, is there any way to create borders around the logos? There is the kind of caption options, and there's some other things you can have as part of the image. It really depends on the theme itself. Sometimes it needs to be styling that you need to add in a different way. But otherwise, you could also add that border in Photoshop or some other program before you upload it as well. So that's how you do that. Excellent. So now we've got our homepage, which is awesome. So now now obviously we want people to be able to contact you, and you could just list your email, but it's nice to have a form so that your email address is a little more hidden. So if so you can go back into the dashboard area in the background, but there's a quick little link here as well to create a new post or page. So post again is blog post, and page is stuff that doesn't have a date associated with it. So it'd be stuff like a contact page, an about page, home page, stuff like that. So if I go to page, and on this one, I'm going to call it contact. And publish, and there's no default way to add a contact form within WordPress. So what we need to do is use plugins, which are ways to extend the functionality of your WordPress site by using this plugins area here. And we're going to add a contact form plugin. So if I hit plugin and add new, we get a listing of plugins. And very similar to how we had themes, we're able to, you can either upload a plugin if you had one, but usually you would be searching for a plugin that you want. So in this case, I'm going to set up Contact Form 7. And that's just, it's been around for a long time, Contact Form. There's a whole bunch of them. And usually the best way to figure out which, say there's something else other than a contact form that you want to add in, the best way to figure out which plugin to use is just to Google, something like contact form, WordPress reviews, and finds, obviously some of these reviews might be biased if they're written by someone who's written a contact form plugin, but usually these sites will give you kind of unbiased opinions of how it actually works, people's experience with it, some screenshots, whatever, and that's kind of a good way to figure out which plugin you want to use. But if you're just searching for, say, just contact form and you're looking at all these different plugins, it's very similar to a theme where you want to kind of get an idea for, whether this plugin is something that is supported, people are using it, they're happy with it, if it's being updated, all that stuff. So WordPress gives you these details before you install it, like what's the rating, how many people have installed it, when it was last updated, so in this case 2 weeks ago, and you can also see whether it's compatible with this version of WordPress. And even if this doesn't necessarily mean it's a great plugin, that has all these users, it still might not be something that fits your needs. Even if hasn't been updated in, say, a few months, it could still work. So it's still something you could try if it looks like it's got the functionality you need. But typically, you'd want something that's been at least updated in the last few months. Hopefully is compatible with your version of WordPress. The author is keeping that up to date and is testing it, and again has some users. But especially if it's a new plugin that has a specific functionality, it might not have a million people using it. So, but yeah, so that's so once you want to install it, you just click on Install Now. There you go, it's installed. And similarly with just like the theme, you click Activate to actually activate this on your site. So in this case, we've got the contact form there. It's activated. And now I can actually go to the settings of this plugin itself. And it gives you a nice little tutorial. Not all plugins will do this, but I'm going to get rid of that. And it gives you a default contact form, which is nice. So you could hit Add New and create a new one, but I'm just going to click on this and edit it and see how it looks. So this one gives you some options here. By default, the contact form will have your name, your email. So this is the email of the person who's contacting you, the subject, and your message. So with this plugin, I can actually get rid of the subject part. Usually the least amount of fields you can for a form, the better. Because then that way people aren't needing to think, okay, do I need to come up with a subject, or forget it, I'm not going to send the message. So yeah, the least amount of information you can do, the better. So there you go. You've got the send button there. So if I save this, and other contact form plugins would work different, but this is how this one works. And so now it gives you some instructions. So it says copy this short code, and a short code is these things in between these square brackets, and paste it into your page or post or wherever. So we want to add it onto our contact form. So if I highlight it and then copy it, and then go over to just hit pages, maybe all pages, and we can see we've got our front page and we've got our contact thing page. So if we click on edit, you can see we have no content. I haven't added anything there. And if I just paste in the short code that I just copied, you don't have to type it in by hand. You can just copy and paste it from there. And now hit update. The page is saved. And now I can either click view page here or here. And there you go. So now this shows up under Contact Me. You've got your form there, and someone can hit send. And by default, it's just going to send it to the email address that we set over in the settings page. By default will be the email address that you set up before. Any questions on that? I think we're good. So the other thing, so Kathy says it's a good idea to have a CAPTCHA for the form. And this, I'm not sure if this one actually comes with a CAPTCHA, but some have a thing called a honeypot, which is an interesting name, but it's basically a field that's there, but it's hidden. And so by having that field there, usually a spam or automated program would put stuff in this kind of honeypot or this hidden field, and then the form thing will detect that and mark it as spam and not allow it to contact. But yeah, definitely if you're getting a lot of spam, then look at adding a CAPTCHA to it for sure. But it is one extra step that someone contacting you would have to go through. And yeah, so you might not get as many people filling out the forms, or if someone has an issue with the CAPTCHA, then they might see, yeah, exactly. Yeah, what Kathleen is saying. Yeah, it can be annoying for sure to fill it in, but it can be good to have if you're getting a ton of spam. All right, so the other thing we wanted to do is with the homepage, I'll show you how to add a link. So in this copy that I made up, I put a thing saying contact me and I'll reply shortly. So if you hit edit page, so I want to link that to the contact page. And I'm going to link this to the contact page, but this could be a link to anything, depending on what we want to do. So all you need to do is highlight the text and then click on this insert edit link up here, and then do that. And it gives you this box to either type in or paste a URL that you want to actually have this text linked to, or I can just start typing the title of a page. So, and it'll give me the pages that I have on my site already. So I want to do contact me. And there you go. So now I can just hit apply here. And that creates that link. And that's it. You can actually have some options as well. If you click on it or while you're adding it, there's this little edit thing. And then you can click on these link options. And that gives you some more options, like the only one you would look at is this open link in new tab. And I'm sure you've seen it before, and some people hate it. When you click on a link, it opens up in a new tab as opposed to opening up within the same browser window. But a lot of people swear by it. It's a link outside of your own website. You'd want it to open a new tab, so then your website is still open in the other tab. So if you want to do that, that's how you would do it. But we'll just leave it as the default. So when they click it, they'll go to your contact page. So you just hit update. And then again, go back to your homepage. Oh, okay, click on that. And there you go. So now you've got a link here. You've got, and when you click on it, you go over to the contact page. So that's how you create a link between the two. Right. So there's a ton of things, obviously, we can do with the site. And if you guys have questions afterwards, I can definitely go through whatever you guys want to. But there's one more thing I'll show you guys, and then we'll look at actually taking the domain name that you bought, pointing it to here, so that when someone goes to your business name or yourname.com, it'll load your website. So the one thing I want to show you is, again, if we click on customize here, or appearance customize, if you're in the background. So the one thing I want to do is this menu. So it's got, it's automatically right now adding the pages that we're adding to the site. And so this menu might grow and grow and grow, and you don't want every single page necessarily to be in your menu. So you might want to customize that. So in the customizer, you can click on menus and click add a menu. I'm just going to call this, primary menu. You can call it whatever you want, navigation, whatever. And each theme will be different, but it gives you options as to where you want these this menu to appear. So this one gives you the option to have primary menu, which is here, or footer menu, which is menu in the footer. So if I do set it as primary menu and also footer menu, so that sets it as menu, but I haven't added any pages to my menu yet, so it just disappears. So now I just want to add in the pages, or actually just the one page that I created, because this link here in the top left, which most people know to either click on this or your logo if you upload one there, would just go to your home page. So I just want to add for now the contact page, and then later you could have maybe an about page and whatever other content that you want to create there. So if I hit contact me there, add it to the menu, we can now see that appears here, and it says contact me, but if you want the title to be different in the menu than it is here, you can just hit again primary menu, and then under here you get some more options. So if you click this little arrow, it gives you navigation labels. So this you can change to be different than the page. So I just want it to be contact. So if I do that, and again, you can then use that to remove any things you've added to the page as well. And one thing is I just want to show as well is if you want to, I'm going to delete this page after, but you can drag and drop it to change the order, and then you can also bump it out a bit. So then this would be a sub menu, or basically a drop-down menu, and this item would be underneath it. So if you've got some stuff that you want to be in a sub menu, you can organize it that way. But just for now, I'm just going to delete that. Do that, and then every time I make a change and I want to publish, just hit save and publish, and there it is. And now I forget who, sorry, was Kathleen was asking about the meta options. So if I go back to the customizer, this one gives you the option. So these meta and these categories and everything else are actually called widgets. So this is a sidebar area, and in it there are some sidebar widgets. So if I go to widgets, and so again, different themes will have different widget areas that are called, but this one gives you, the right sidebar, header, some footer areas, etc. So if I click on right sidebar, which is this, you can see there, you've got the search, you've got recent posts, and this all matches up, and the meta. So if you want to keep everything else that's here, you can do that by clicking the down arrow and remove, and that will remove that meta area from there. And you can continue to do that. You can, again, drag and drop and rearrange the order of the meta boxes. But for now, I'd actually just, because again, we don't have comments enabled, we don't have archives. A lot of people don't use the search on a site itself. They'll just go to Google and to search your own site. So with this theme, it actually gives you the option to go to design and then actually go to default layout and pick the layout you want. So you can see this one has this little right sidebar by default. But if I just want to get rid of that whole sidebar by default, I can actually click on that one, and that's the default layout. And then you can also have the site layout, which is the box options there. And then the default layout for pages only, and contact is a page. So you would also set that one to not have that sidebar. So now you don't have the sidebar at all. It's not showing any of those widgets by default. And yeah, so now you don't have that sidebar and all that clutter that doesn't necessarily need to be there on your site. And again, you would save that, and you're done. So again, there's different options. You can click around on the customizer, see the options appear. You can have a header image that you can upload, different other design options, etc., etc. I would stay away from sliders is my recommendation. Now, was it 90 or 95% of people never look past the first slide? So it's just something that eats up a lot of resources on your site, and yeah, can just be annoying. So I would not add a slider by default. Good. So yeah, so Doug was also asking about icons for LinkedIn, Google, etc. Some themes have an option for that. Basically, another menu, like actually that 2016 theme. You can add the menu. You add as links just your Twitter URL, your Facebook URL, and then it'll detect that it's Facebook or Twitter and add it. There's different plugins to add social links, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not sure if this one has it, but there are different either within the theme itself or as a plugin to add those links. Good. So we'll close that. And so that's it. So, I mean, this is, again, lots of other stuff we can add to the page and to your site, but this at least gives you now WordPress site that tells a bit about yourself, what you do, and a way to contact, and basically a site that you can initially launch and have people go to find out more about you. So the last thing that we need to do to wrap and link everything up together is to set up the domain. So we basically bought the domain with Namecheap, and now we need to actually link it to our site. So let me actually flip back to the slides so I can show you how this works. Now I can post these slides, but obviously there will be a video recording as well. But this is going through all the stuff that we went through. Say no to sliders, because yes, they can be quite distracting. So the last step that we need to do to link it all together is to point your domain to WP Engine. So all we need to do is go into that WP Engine area that we saw before, and I'll show you again, which is my.wpengine.com. Then you click on domains. You add that domain name. You just type it in, the one that you bought. You then go to namecheap.com and to your account. And then you go to the domain list, which I was just showing there, and click Manage. You then click on this Advanced DNS, and you'll copy over the address for it. So just to show you in screenshots, and then I'll go through it again in real time, is so here, when you're in your WP Engine area, you're clicking Add Domain. You're just typing in your domain name, so whatever one that you bought. And you also want to add in the redirect from address underneath. So that would just be any additional domains. So if you bought the .ca, if you bought a .net, like all these other ones, and you want them to point to the same place, you would just add them underneath. But at a minimum, you'd want to also add in your www. So then this is going to redirect any traffic that goes to www to just your domainname.com. So then it'll work. Otherwise, www won't work, which you don't want. You would then, under, which I'll show you in a sec, go under and find this IP address and highlight it and copy it over. And this is basically the address on the internet of your hosting, where your WordPress site is. And we need to tell Namecheap to send people who visit your domainname.com to go to this address. And that's done under Namecheap by changing everything to a record, pasting in that value twice. So this @ symbol, or in that second line, is everything except www. So that includes just going to your domainname.com. And then that www is, again, just the www of your domain as well. And then you hit Save Changes. So this can take, once you save it, can take 24 to 48 hours to take effect. But once you've saved it, sometimes it can just take 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending. But this one, if you look on the right-hand side, it's got by default 30 minutes. But it just depends. It's up to different internet providers around the world as to how often they check and when they update it. So if you're doing some kind of launch and you're telling people, on Facebook or whatever, to go to your site, it's best to wait a couple days to make sure that everyone gets it. And then last but not least, we're going to change the address in the settings of the WordPress site so that it'll go to your domainname.com instead of that. For in my case, my freelance site is the username, and so freelance.wpengine.com is the current site. It'll use your domain name. So let me show you how that works quick. All right. So once we log into Namecheap, we get this listing of the domain name that you bought, or more than one if you bought more than one. You just click Manage. And then once it loads up, you will go to this advanced DNS setting. And just to answer your question, Kathleen, it'll be available indefinitely, at least for a couple months. And I should also be able to post it to my YouTube as well. So, but if at any time you want to see it and you can't find it, just let me know. So by default, it's creating this parking page. So it's basically just a under construction kind of page that Namecheap adds automatically. So what we're going to need to do is change this type to a record. And a record is just the technical name for the setting in the domain name that tells the people visiting yourdomainname.com where to go. So you basically just need to add that. And we'll do the same for this one. Add a record. And now here, I'm going to delete these things. And obviously, it's not happy with that, but that's fine. And I'm going to go into my hosting account. So again, once you log in, by default, you'll see this my.wpengine.com. You will just click on your install. You'll just have the one. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll just see this IP address. So you're just going to copy that and then paste it into here. I'll do that for both and then save changes. So great, it's saved. But again, it can take up to 24 to 48 hours for people to actually see that when you go to yourdomainname.com. So now, last but not least, so once that actually starts working, so you go to yourdomainname.com. Oh, actually, so one other thing. So right now we're telling it to go to our WP Engine, but like I showed in the slides, we actually need to add that domain as well. So you just go into domain, click add domain, and again, just type in the domain name you bought. So add the www version. Add. And that's it. So now once Namecheap and once everyone has updated, so they know that when you go to yourfreelance.com, it should go to this address that we just said here, which is your WP Engine hosting account. You'll be able to go to that site and then actually see your same WordPress site. But when you click on links, it's still going to go to this, in my case, freelancesite.wpengine.com. So all we need to do to update that is to go back into your dashboard, click on settings, then general, and just update this to be your domain name. So your freelance.com, and do the same for the other one. And save. That's it. So because I haven't actually updated it yet, it's not going to show up. But yeah, all you would do is hit save there, and then you're good. So that's that. And now, it's too cute. I can't stop flipping that way. So now you have a site, which is awesome. So the other thing that is nice with WP Engine and some other hosting services come with it as well is a staging site, which is basically a safe way to actually test things. So you notice when you go into WordPress, you actually see this WP Engine link up here. And I'm going to try and see if I can update it. It might not work right away. So I can show you how that works. Save. No, it doesn't, because I updated it to the new page and the internet hasn't caught up with the fact that I updated it yet. But normally you go into WP Engine, you click on staging, and then you would actually, once you click on that, you'd be able to create a copy of your site that you can then use and log into, just like you do with this site. And you can then test themes, you can add plugins, you can do whatever you need without actually breaking or affecting your live site. So you can do that as often as you want. If you're in the staging and something doesn't work right or whatever, you just go back into your main thing, click on copy to staging again, and copy it to your test site once more. So that's that. Yes, Kathleen, that is my cat. Or one of them. We have 3. And when does the theme show up with the content you created? So not 100% sure, Scott, what you mean, but once you activate the theme, then that theme will appear. And the nice thing about WordPress is that you can switch themes and your content's still there. It's not like you have to re-enter the content every time you switch themes. But yeah, once you have your theme activated, it'll show the same content or whatever content you've added under that or looking like that new theme or within that new theme. So content adjusts to the chosen theme, depending. Yep. So yeah, certain themes will actually be very stringent as to how you enter content or how it displays. But yeah, definitely it'll adjust and look, how the theme intends it to. So that's why you kind of might need to experiment with different themes and see which ones, and if needed, you can get someone to customize it as well. But yeah, there's so many good themes out there that at least for an initial site, you can probably find one that works quite well. Excellent. So next steps for this is, what can you do now with your site once it's up and running? So you can add other pages. So you could add things like about and any other pages that you want to add to your site to describe the services you do, pricing, all that stuff. You want to keep the plugins and theme up to date. So when you log in to your site, you'll see a little notification kind of circle either beside plugins or maybe at the top updates. That'll show you how many plugins or themes need to be up to date. It's definitely a good idea to update that. And again, because you have daily backups, if you update it and something breaks, you can log into your WP Engine account and roll it back. So if there are any issues, or you can use that staging site. So basically take a copy of your site, move it over to your staging, and then update the plugins and the theme there. Look at your site, make sure everything's good to go, and then if it is, go back to your live site and update it there. So it's a nice thing because definitely without having backups and without having a way to test plugin or theme updates, there's no 100% way to know if it's going to break your site in any way or just not be compatible with other plugins or the theme you have. So definitely good to test that. But again, you've got backups if something goes wrong. So another thing that would be good to look into is additional backups with WordPress. So WordPress is a way or another backup service. And yes, WP Engine gives you backups, but I don't know who said it, but if you don't have backups in at least 3 places, your site doesn't exist. So having WordPress would be kind of that third backup in addition to your live site and the backups that WP Engine makes for you. So that's $5 a month and definitely something good to do. And if you just search WordPress in the plugins, it'll walk you through how to add that in. And there's other backup solutions as well you can look into. Setting up a free certificate would be good. If people want, I can show you how to do that. So that actually might not work just because, again, it takes a bit of time to update. But it's pretty easy with WP Engine. And if you have any questions on that, you can actually just log in, click on the live chat, and just ask the WP Engine support person, hey, I want to add a free SSL certificate. How do I do that? And then that way it'll go to HTTPS. And especially if you sell anything or start selling anything on your site, you're definitely going to want that. And Google is going to soon, don't know exactly when, but it's going to start saying things, alerting the fact if you don't have a secure site and rank it accordingly. So definitely something to look into. You can add a site, a store with WooCommerce is one example. So WooCommerce is, if you are going to sell some stuff, it's a great plugin. So you just go to plugins, add new, search for WooCommerce, and you can add your products. So any products that you're selling there, you can add those in. And then there's a couple different options to get paid. PayPal, I believe, is the default. Stripe is now a free extension or a thing that you can set up with it, which is another option for paying by credit card. And because you have that SSL certificate, everything's secure, and you can accept some credit cards on site for your products. So that's pretty straightforward to set up there. And then WordPress tutorials. So now that you have a WordPress site, you can start to actually go and search for things like, how do I do X on WordPress or something? And 9 times out of 10, you'll find a video or article or whatever that'll show you how to do what you're looking to do and do that. So that's all I've got. So a little bit longer than we were thinking, but I was hoping about 45 minutes, but that's how we set up a site. All right. So Kathleen was asking, do you need backups? If you can easily recreate your content, it's good to have, because especially if it takes a long time, you're formatting it. Maybe you're adding bold and italic and different heading formats and whatnot, adding links, etc. Could just be a pain, and especially if your site goes down, you don't want to spend a bunch of time getting it back up. So yeah, if you have the backup, it just makes it easy to do a one-click restore and very quickly get your site back up and running. So potential clients don't go to your site and see, errors and everything else. So, yep. All right. So those depend on the complexity. Yeah. Either way, it'd be good to have backups, as many backups as you can. So, yeah, even if it's a simple site, it's still good to have as many backups. So is there a website, Kathy was asking, is there a website you'd recommend for tutorials? There's a few. I've actually met the people behind WPBeginner.com, WPMayor.com is another one. And they have a bunch of articles and such on there. I've got a few on brianhogg.com and on my YouTube. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different tutorial sites. But yeah, WP Beginner and WP Mayor are two pretty good ones. Yes, Kathleen, that was was my cat. That is Riley, his name is. Can I go to the, yeah, he's got a little tongue sticking out. So yeah, that is one of our kitties. Oh, and Tina, yeah, is mentioning for the HPL library card. There's a lot of different, if you're at all affiliated with an educational institution or your local library, you should be able to go there and then you can sign up for and access lynda.com for free, which is pretty sweet. Good. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, again, you know how to find me. The link to that to set up the hosting, again, I'd really appreciate it if you use the link in the email, or it's just that brianhogg.com/WP-Engine, which is here. But if not, that's fine. I still hope you had some good tips out of this and are able to set up your freelance site.